Hi, everyone. Welcome to Domain Sherpa. We've got another fantastic Domain Sherpa review for everybody. We've got Braden and Josh on the show, along with Alvin Brown of Kickstart Commerce. If you haven't seen it yet, go to kickstart.fm or kickstartcommerce.com and check out a recent interview that I did with Alvin. As for this show, as usual, we play the domain game where the Sherpas mention a domain they recently bought or sold, and the other Sherpas try and guess the price, with the winner getting some Sherpa swag. Speaking of that, make sure you check out the Media Options and Domain Sherpa store, which is live on shop.mediaoptions.com. And while it's not part of this show's domain game, we talk about Braden's recent big time sale of worldclass.com. And also on today's show, we discuss a bunch of names coming up for auction on NameJet, with some highlights including drafts.com, patentlaw.com, and sycamore.com. This is all coming up right now here on Domain Sherpa, where all roads lead to domains. So let's go. What's up, Sherpa Network? Welcome to Domain Sherpa, where all roads lead to domains. I am Jonathan Tenenbaum, aka JT, aka J On, and I am the host and producer here on Domain Sherpa. Today, we've got a Domain Sherpa review, which, as all of y'all know, is our seminal show focused on domains, where we bring on experts from the domain space to talk about recent sales, recent purchases, and a whole bunch of domains about to come up for auction on NameJet, as well as anything else that we want to talk about. So like I said, there are 4 segments to this show. We've got the grand opening, where I'm going to intro the Sherpas, find out what's going on with them. And we talk about, whatever's going on in the space and whatever's going on with their lives. Then we get into the domain game, and that's where they'll mention a domain they recently bought or sold. The other Sherpas will try and guess the price, and with the winner getting some Domain Sherpa Media Options swag, which we're going to have to talk about, because I know 2 of you guys got swag and I don't see it on the show. And I'm not going to say I'm disappointed, but I'm not disappointed. You know what I mean? So we're going to have that conversation. And yes, Josh, I'm talking to you too.
The 3 of us were promised swag.
Well, if you're owed it, I got you. Anyway, then we got NameJet in the jet, which is where there we go. Off the market forever. Flip it around. Let them see that good stuff on the back. Let them see what's up. Bam. Media Options, keeping it popping. Buy low, sell high, reaping the profits. What it is. All right. So then we get into NameJet in the jet, sponsored by NameJet, where we go over a list of domains about to come up for auction, talk about what the Sherpas like, what they don't like, try to help the folks at home to understand kind of what they might want to focus on and what they might want to avoid. And then last but not least, we've got grand closing, where we discuss anything we haven't covered already. We used to kind of do grand opening, grand closing together at the end, but by the time we get to the end of the show, we've usually covered so much ground that it's like we're kind of flying through the last minute or two. So that's the grand closing. And when that's done, that'll basically be it. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and introduce the Sherpas today. I'm super, super excited about. Down to my right, I guess not down to my right, but over to my right, we got my boy Braden Pollock, aka Tony Stark, aka Mark Zuckerberg, aka Benjamin Button. I don't have Drew here to tell me I'll say what I want. I will say what I want, and I believe in all of them.
As long as they're positive, go ahead.
Oh yeah, no. Like I said, those are some of the best AKAs, man. And so for those of you who don't know, I mean, Braden is on the show all the time, but he's a serial entrepreneur, lives in LA. He is super involved in the domain space. He is one of the most successful domain investors in the world. Just coming off a great sale that we're going to talk about, a world-class sale, if you will. And also, like I said, one of the most philanthropic folks in the space, always willing to educate, help, assist people at all the conferences, online, Clubhouse, you name it. And really just one of the great people in the space, which is why we love having him on the show and why I also consider him to be my friend. Braden, welcome to the show, dude.
Well, thanks for all that.
Yeah, man. You got the light.
Everybody to introduce me like that.
That's it. I'm available for parties, bar mitzvahs, weddings, you name it. I will show up anywhere, and I'll give you the intro, man. Just let me know. And I'm charging cheap. We're NFTs, ETH, you know what I mean? Well, I accept almost anything for payment. Now,
hey, when I'm on Alvin, when I'm on your show, or Josh, when I'm on your show, can you guys just bring in JT to do my intro?
Nope. Hey, I'm just gonna take the recording of this.
There you guys. Actually, I'm okay with that too.
It's like it's cheaper. It's cheaper.
Exactly.
All right, so going around the room. All right, now down to my right, we got my boy Josh Reason, aka Bjorn Borg, aka Harry Kane, the host of Digital Fortune here on the DomainSherpa Network, founder of DNWE, the domain name marketplace. Go get signed up if you are not already a member. Great deals to be had, great opportunities, both selling and buying domains. That is DNWE.com. Also a very successful domain investor, also a successful NFT investor. He has a stable of Zed horses, breeding, winning phenomena. Is that your main,
Phenomena, yeah. That's my main horse, yeah.
His main horse, who just won a big race the other day. Can we watch Zed run? We're not going to get too much into NFTs. We'll keep it to domains. We got an NFT show that we're going to do at the end of the week on Down the Rabbit Hole. But can I watch the races even if I'm not I don't participate in Zed run? Can you?
Yeah, you can watch the races, and then it's coming. I think it was live before, but it paused for a while. But you can bet on the races as well, like any standard.
I'm gonna become a Zed run gambler, degenerate. I'm just gonna be watching these online virtual horse races, betting money. I like it. All right, cool.
Yeah, crazy stuff.
Well, good stuff, Josh. Thank you. Welcome to the show as usual. And then last but certainly not least, below me, I got my man 50 grand, Alvin Brown, aka Matthew McConaughey, aka Kevin Durant, aka Chip Gaines. Let me get there. I will get there.
All right.
All right. The founder and publisher of KickstartCommerce.com, seasoned serial entrepreneur, passionate about helping businesses execute profitable digital and domain name investment strategies to generate greater customer growth and revenue throughout the world. All right. Did I get that right? Did I get it?
I think it's throughout the universe.
He's like, keep going. All right. So now, like Matthew McConaughey, Kevin Durant, Chip Gaines, deep in the heart of Texas, I had to keep that's the theme. And so that's kind of what I went with. But the Chip Gaines thing, as part of Alvin's bio, he started and has operated numerous startups in Austin, Texas with his wife, Mallory. That's kind of the Chip and Joanna Gaines thing. You know what I mean? Kind of fixer upper. DN Strategies, Pock Rocket Labs, Ladder Jumpers, Brownstone Strategies, all based in Austin, Texas. So he is definitely which is also the Matthew McConaughey thing. Literally the most famous. Well, Matthew McConaughey is now the second most famous to Alvin, resident of Austin, Texas. You know what I mean? Prior to that, Alvin spent 20 years in IT, web, software development, IT, all that kind of stuff, sales and marketing, working for or with some of the biggest companies in the world, including Time Warner, Cisco. And his podcast on kickstartcommerce.com is one of the best in the business. In fact, by the time this show airs, Alvin will have aired an interview that he and I did on his podcast, which was a lot of fun, man. And I thank you and I appreciate that. So, but if you haven't seen that, then get over to kickstartcommerce.com or subscribe to the podcast and definitely check it out. We cover some ground there and definitely a lot of fun. So, and Alvin is a repeat guest here on DomainSherpa, but this is the first time that he's been on since I've been the host, aside from that Red Zone thing during NamesCon. So I'm excited, man. I appreciate you being here, my man. Thank you.
Yeah. Hey, man, I thought you said, wait, did you say Kevin Durant or Kevin Hart?
I said Kevin Durant.
Oh, man, I thought you were going to give me Kevin Hart. What do Kevin Durant not have? I mean, that's like two different altitudes there.
It is, but Kevin Durant, right? He played his college ball in Texas.
He did.
He's a winner. I just watched it. And it's because I think coming off of the Olympics, if anybody watched the men's basketball team, won the gold medal, they went into the Olympics. People were not feeling them. They were struggling a bit. They lost a couple exhibition games. They thought, hey, I don't know if they have it. Is everybody catching up? And Durant basically put the team on his back and carried them through all the way to the gold medal. And so that's kind of where, so I got Kevin Durant on the brain and I got a lot of respect for Kevin Durant, as I do for you, and being the whole Texas connection. But you know what? The next show I'll do I'll throw Kevin Hart because you're funny too, man. And he's a funny guy. I like Kevin Hart a lot. He's a Philly dude. So he's a Philly fan and, Eagles and Sixers and all that. And I'm just, and obviously he's a funny dude. So, all right, man.
You should have seen him and Snoop do their version of the Olympics. That it's the best 5 minutes you'll see this week.
I haven't seen. Is that new? Is that something?
Yeah. Look it up on YouTube. It's Snoop Dogg and Kevin Hart giving their take on the Olympics.
All right, I love it. All right, I'll check it out. So, all right, what about you guys though? Braden, Josh, you guys watching any Olympics? I mean, Josh, you're a sports guy, and
dude, honestly, I feel like we had a lot of sports over the summer, and I don't think the Olympics got too much love. To be quite honest with you, I would normally watch the Olympics. I don't know if it was the time zone or the main events were kind of at night for us. But no, man, I didn't watch much at all. I watched some table tennis. That was like one day. That was about it.
All right.
So if you include last week, I've watched exactly 0 minutes of the Olympics.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Josh, you make a good point. I think the time difference, right? By the time all the stuff was airing on prime time, it had already happened. Like I actually watched both the men's and the women's gold medal games and made a point to try to watch them live so that I could actually see them happen like as they happen. But both games were like at 10:30 at night. Some stuff was popping off at like 4 a.m. I mean, it was hard to just get keyed in and be able to watch the stuff like when you didn't already know. So by the time this stuff rolled around, it was like I've already seen the updates, gymnastics, the swimming, the running, and all that kind of stuff. But so and is it because we're also so inundated with information and media and everything else that like it used to be back in the day, the Olympics felt like such a big deal. Remember Dan and Dave? Man? Where's Dan and Dave now, man? Where they at? Because
I feel like it's not a big deal anymore either, to be honest.
I just read that viewership was down 45%.
Wow. Yeah. And I'm telling you, I think it's because, again, you've got this lag, which makes it hard. And because we're already kind of like, we get sort of, I don't know. I mean, maybe we're also spoiled. We see the best in the world competing, all the time, between basketball and American football, Josh, and regular football, Josh. You know what I mean? And trying to call it the right thing. I don't want to be offensive to the soccer fans out there. Soccer, but so I think that at the end of the day, I think you're right. I think we're inundated with it, and I think this Olympics was just plus. I don't know. COVID makes everything weird. There were like not as many fans in the place. So when I did the interview with Chris Jenkins here on DomainSherpa, who was hit the shot to win the national championship for Villanova back in 2016, one of the greatest shots in the history of sports. And we were talking about some comparable stuff. There was a guy from Gonzaga, Jalen Suggs, who hit a game winner in the tournament last year. And Chris made a really good point because I was like, man, his shot is nothing on you and your shot, because it wasn't to win the championship. But he said, yeah, and there were no fans. He's like, that's like, it's, yeah, there were people and people were kind of excited, but like, it's a lot different, performing in front of, 150 people than performing in front of, 50,000 people. So, it's interesting stuff. But anyway, so this isn't Olympic Sherpa. This is Domain Sherpa, where all roads lead to domains. So with that, we're going to go ahead and let's dive right into the domain game. So as all of y'all know, this is where the Sherpas are going to share details of a purchase or a sale they made recently. They'll name the domain. The other Sherpas will try and guess the price. We keep score. We got the scoreboard. So if you're not watching this live, you're missing out on some of the other visual stuff and that cool stuff. But we do keep the running scoreboard so we know who wins. And the winner will get some media options or domain name, DomainSherpa swag. We do have shop.mediaoptions.com. You'll see we'll throw the URL right up if you're watching the show. That's shop.mediaoptions.com. We got a bunch of that kind of stuff. Check it out if you want. I got all sorts of stuff here in my office. I got the mouse pad with Mo Money. He's like our mascot, right? I definitely got gear over here. I got a puzzle. I got a mug. I'm not trying to say that all y'all need to go check this stuff out, but like coffee tastes better out of the media options mug. Just a fact. Anyway.
Or tea.
Or tea. Yeah, hey, not discriminating against tea drinkers. You know what I'm saying? It's all good. But no, it's cool. But it's just a little shop we threw up through Shopify, and we don't really make much money off of this stuff. So, but we do dig it. And whoever does win the show is ultimately going to get some swag. Josh got his Off the Market Forever hoodie. Alvin, I sent you the hoodie because I never sent you the Name Jet shirt. So I know I owed you from back in the day. Braden, you won the last time. Did you win? All right. Well, you're gonna have to tell me.
Got nada.
All right, you're gonna have to tell me because
But here's the funny thing is that
notebook, media options notebook.
I was on Sherpa like not that far after it was launched, way back when, and I've been on I don't know 15, 20 times or something, right?
At least.
I have never gotten the mug. Everybody just assumes that I've gotten it. Mike's like, Mike even said to me, because I had mentioned this once before, Mike, he calls me up. He's like, I never sent you a mug. ever? Like all those times been on, never. I'm like,
You're gonna hear from him
no.
after
He's
this
like,
show. He's gonna be
I'm
like,
definitely gonna get you a mug.
Well,
Still no mug.
the good news is I've got the mug up there. I've got the mugs in the garage, and so I'll send you a mug and something else. So
No, you won't. No,
and maybe even a third thing, depending on how the game goes today. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Like there's still a shot. You could be adding to the wardrobe here. You're gonna be rocking those hoodies all over LA.
My Yeti mug right here.
Oh yeah. Well, I've got the Yeti as well, and it's not a bad third option to the Domain Sherpa mug and the media options mug. So, but we'll rectify that. We will fix that. So with that, let's go ahead and start with you, Braden, and then we'll go around. I know I put the order in a little different, but I always go kind of to my right and then down and around. So with that, Braden, you got to buy or sell. Actually, before you get into whatever you're going to announce for the domain game, I mean, we got to say congratulations to you. You have a big sale. It was disclosed publicly, so we could talk about it, right?
Yeah.
All right. Worldclass.com. Worldclass.com. Yeah, that's right. Let's do it. I mean, so $75,000 buy, and you bought it. How long did you hold it? Like, when did you purchase it?
March 23rd.
March 23rd of 2021.
Yes, like 4 months ago.
Just a couple months ago, actually. That would be that's very not long ago, according to my calendar. And you sold it for how much? $400,000. Boom. Let's go, Billy. Throw in get some fireworks. So anybody watching this right now, we're going to definitely get some kind of effects going. And I mean, hey, look, you operate in a space that not everyone can operate in, right? Buying a $75,000 name is not easy to do, if you're just a regular domain investor with a limited budget. But I do think that, I just love it, man. I think that's ultimately the pinnacle of those of us that have been in the space for a long time, investing in domains, and trying to do that. You don't have to do it on that level, on that scale, but those are the types of wins I think that show, and they're there if with the right research and, the right investment, and, not maybe at 75,000 to 400, but $75 to $400, right? And you do a couple of those, and then, you get to your 7,500 to your $40,000 flip, and not super common, but that's what we're doing here, right? And I think that's but a credit to you to be able to make that happen.
The spread is larger at that lower end. Like if you buy a name for $75, chances are you're pricing it in the $2,500 or $3,000 range.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Right.
And, I mean, I know people that they're picking up names for hand reg or $20 or $40, and they're targeting 100x, right? And I think that multiple kind of decreases as you get bigger and bigger, but you make up for it in dollars. Yeah, right. So like I buy names in the $300,000 and $400,000 range, but I'm not going to get. And I typically target in general 10x, but when I'm up and spending $300,000 or $400,000, I'm not going to get 10x, right? I mean, I ask for it, but but I don't always get it. But it's going to be a 7-figure name. But it's just like as you get, I know people that'll spend $1 million on a name, and then they try to turn it for 2, right? And like most domain investors wouldn't only double their money, except in this case, it's like you make $1 million.
Sure, yeah, 100%.
So there's all these different levels, and the spread changes, but
like I said, you make
up for it in dollars. But world class was. It's funny that I had so little effort that went into that. Like it's really not a great story. Like you asked me to tell the story, but like I bought it in a small portfolio from Andy Booth back in March. I bought like 5 or 6 names from him. It was one of them. I listed as a buy it now at 400. Rich Green from After Nick sent me an email. Opening offer was 175. I just said no. And then like a week later, he came back with 300, and I said no. And then a week after that, I got an email from him saying, all right, it's paid 400. Done.
I mean, that's crazy. And it's awesome.
Like 2 emails into it. That's it. I did no negotiating.
It's funny. It's like and I think it's that whole saying no to get to yes. And I know that folks like Rick Schwartz, have historically that's, been his model when he knows that he's got a name that's, a certain value that he knows he wants to get for it. And if you have the luxury of, letting it sit and, wait and say no and expect that they, just because you're comfortable being patient, it's funny for me, man, though, like that $175,000 offer, I would have been like I would have been stressing that for a few days, like personally, just cause, right. I'm like, man, you could take 100 and call it. And, but credit to you, man. That's great.
You've got to do it. I'm working on a deal right now. Opening offer was $1 million, and I said no. And then they came back at like, I don't know, $1.3 million, and I said no. It's like to get to, we're about at 2 million ish right now. I can't. Yeah. The deal's not done, but it's like to get those numbers, you still have to say no to big numbers to get to the bigger numbers.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, I'm totally with you, and and credit to you for having the patience. And it is also part of your business plan. Hey, this is how you operate. You go in when you buy the name, it's like you have to have some level of expectation of like, okay, this is what I want to get, right? And feel like there's a basis there that's a reasonable basis, or at least, you've got faith in that sort of position. And then that you just let it do what it do, right? If it's not like, it's almost like having a plan. I say this all the time when you're, not necessarily on the show, but just in life, like, you want to get stuff accomplished. The key for me is always the plan and the tools, and it's like, you need the right tools to do the job, but you also need your plan. I was always an instructions reader as a, like putting stuff together. And
what are instructions?
Well, yeah, but because the first couple times I tried to do something and I wasn't, and then I had to, it took 10 times long, you know what I mean? And especially putting together the kids' Christmas toys, man, that's like, I think where the switch flipped for me, you know what I mean? Because it was like, you try putting a, like a little kid's kitchen set together or something, and you put the wrong thing on the wrong thing, you got to reverse it all, go backwards. Otherwise they're going to be like washing dishes on the stovetop. Like, it just doesn't work. So anyway, but yeah, so the, but I think that having a plan though, and, knowing, again, what your end goal ultimately is and what you want it to be, and having, sort of faith and justification in that will give you sort of the ability to just say, to say no and to get to yes, man. I think it's great. So congratulations. That news popped off just yesterday. So I'm glad we're able to get you on the show to talk about it. So it's like, I called the booking agent right away. I'm like, get Braden on the show. So.
Yeah. Yeah, there wasn't a lot of planning. It wasn't like JT wanted me on this show. I got a text from him last night. Yo.
Nah, man. Hey, you know what it is. You're on the show so much as it is already, man. It's like you got an open invitation. You can just show up anytime. Man. It's all
I just also not pop up. Hey, what's up, guys?
At some point, we are going to do, like, when we redesign the site a little bit, I want to do a count of the guests so you can start to see a tally of how many shows people have under their belt. I think that'd be really, really cool. So
that's like gamify it, like
a little bit, yeah. Or put it, when we drop the NFTs for the, for all the guests, when you get your little, like, that'll be, maybe it'll be more valuable based on how many shows you've been. We'll do, it'll be almost like an inverse, the more you've been on the show, the more rare your character is. But this is not an NFT show. This is a domain show, and we are about to get into the domain game. So with that,
I'll start counting how many times you say that.
How many times I say that? Hey, man, people just kind of bellyache a little bit, but at the end of the day, it's like, look, we're in all of it. And if you think we're sleeping on domains, we got some stuff coming. It'll be, we're still very much doing what we do, as I know all you guys know. But anyway, all right, with that, so Braden, what other name do you got that you bought or sold recently that we don't know the price of?
I'm just looking at my list right now. I'm not sure, because I tried to announce everything. Have I talked about Nuclear.vc?
No. Josh might know. Josh is more in the loop, man. He knows all your like biz, because he pays attention.
We haven't spoken too much for the last couple of weeks. I don't think I know about Nuclear.vc. Braden don't like me anymore. So.
What happened, man? What's up with Brosh? Y'all were like literally a combined name, like J-Lo and Ben Affleck, man. What's up?
I've last couple of weeks have been honestly a little rough for me. I've had some stuff going on. So.
Oh man, well look, I hope it's I hope it's okay. I'm sorry, I was just kidding. So I'm not trying to.
Yeah, I was kidding too. Me and Braden, we're like this.
Yeah.
Brosh, man, I've seen the shirt. That's the shirt I want. I want the bra. I'll wear that the next time you two are on the show together. I'll wear the Brosh shirt. For those of you who don't know, who did the shirt? Who was it?
Dennis.
Dennis, yeah.
From Domain Smoke.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Dennis. So that's what's up. So yeah. So he did a t-shirt with the two of them together. Brosh. I love it. All right, so
I haven't seen it since.
I gotta hit him up. I'm gonna try and get one. And so with that, Nuclear.vc. All right, so Josh, you would be first because we just keep going. We go in the order, so that way we keep it consistent.
So is that a buy or a sell? Sold
I
it.
sold it.
All right, it's a sale. Nuclear.vc. Sold it.
Am I guessing first?
Yep.
I think that it was part of a outbound campaign by the Epic guys, and I think that they got Braden $4,500.
All right. Okay. That was very detailed.
I like the detail there.
Yeah, that's good. I think that's
Cool,
gonna
that
be
doesn't work.
that's if there's a tie, that might get you over the hump. All right, Alvin, what do you think?
$39.99.
So take it under.
$39.99. So here's what I'm gonna do, because I'm trying to gamify this myself, and I still haven't won. So I'm going with 4501. I'm saying it was the higher number. So we're gonna we're boxing Josh.
Box him in.
Man,
And I'm gonna say 4501. All right.
some BS right there.
So I bought this in the Epic promotion last year, $4.99. It was a hand reg. And there was an inbound. It was not any work that was done on Epic's part. And I had a buy it now and $3,500. So Alvin gets it.
Oh, 3,500.
The funny thing is, the guy emails me and he offers me 3,000. I'm like, why would you? Like, that's not exactly a low ball. That was so close to the price. I thought that was kind of weird. And I look him up. I look up his email address because it was kind of a weird email address, and find him. And he's an ex-Googler that has a VC fund now, and he invented Google Alerts.
No way. Oh,
Yeah,
cool.
and I was like, I think you could afford these $500. So I just responded with like 3,500 is a fair price, and then he didn't contact me again. He just clicked the buy it now.
Oh, nice.
On Epic.
All right, very cool. So, well, I like the .vcs. They're, I think they're, obviously more popular now than they got a little bit of a buzz. I've got JT.vc, so that's like,
Nice.
I'll take you to my LinkedIn page where I got a picture of I swapped out my picture of my face for a Bored Ape. What's up, Bored Ape Yacht Club? But this show is not about NFTs. This show is about domain names.
It's not. But
Really?
I talked earlier about like the at the lower end you can get a bigger spread. I mean, look at that spread from $5 to
Exactly. Yeah.
Massive
Yeah,
spread. I mean, I wish I could do that all day long, right?
Sure. Yeah, no, and I think it's great. And I think, with any of the new GTLDs, and, I like a lot, .io, .vc, the country code domains, in a lot of ways have, really, been able to find a better niche than, obviously the long to the, on the right at the side of the dot. But, anytime you're talking about short, like really killer names that, like otherwise would be, $1 million domains in .com, as long as there is some demand or application, I mean, there's obviously some, the use for them. So, so that's a good job, dude. That's a great sale, and obviously a great multiple. So Alvin gets the point. So that's, and it gets harder the closer the, when you're in the last spot of the game, because now I'm starting to see, that's your best shot to get a point, because you can pick the high or low, and take a whole range. And, I guess wrong. All right. So with that, Josh, what do you got, man? Buy or sell? Talk to me, man.
Buy. We'll do a buy.
All right.
It's done a lot of prep for this show.
Yeah, he's ready. He's ready to go. He's like, he's like, what is this again?
I don't. I haven't been buying or selling many domains, to be honest.
Yeah,
it's just like every time I haven't been wanting. I mean, this is the truth. I don't want to sell any domains. It's like I see people buying stuff for a lot of money right now, and every time I get an offer on a domain, I'm just like, no, like this thing has like some utility. Like this thing is good. Like you can build a business on this. I'm not giving you this domain for 50 grand or 60 grand. No, you can't have it. And then afterwards, I'm thinking to myself, it's not a bad offer, but at the time, it just doesn't feel right. So I haven't been selling much. You know, a few buy it now names like in the lower end, like below 5K, but nothing crazy interesting.
Okay, well, all good.
So we'll do a buy.
All right, let's go. What is the domain?
Hunt.io.
Ooh, hunt.io. Talking.io. I love this name. I think this is a great domain. So, all right. So, Alvin, you are first to try to figure out
1575.
1575. All right. So, and this was a purchase and not a sale. I know it's definitely more than that. I'm gonna say 7,500. I'm gonna say 7,500. I came up enough off of Alvin too, because this way I got to force Braden to make a choice. You know what I'm saying? So now if he's going to try to like pick the high or low, at least it's not super obvious. You know, like if I came at $2,000, he'd be like, all right, I'll take 2001. But
I take the high.
Are you? So you're 7501. All right. Braden goes 7501. That's probably what I would have done too, but
yeah,
I should have said 10 G's. But all right, what wait, let's do it again. I'm gonna shut off the recording. We're gonna record it again. All right, what's up, Josh? Talk to us, man.
$7,000.
Yes.
Nice.
Oh,
when did you purchase?
Hunt.io.
No, he said
yeah,
when.
but when?
Oh, when? Like a few weeks ago, maybe.
Okay.
All right. So now we
I
are.
was so close, though. I mean, I was.
So Alvin's got a point. I've got a point, and now Alvin's got to name the name. So that puts him out of the mix, and I don't have a name. So if I can get this point, I can win. If we have some kind of tie, we're gonna have to figure out how to tie break. You guys are gonna have to bring more names, I think. So
I think this game has been rigged.
I'm trying, man. I'm trying.
It's been rigged in House's favor.
Hey, all I'm saying is,
how does that?
Hey, look, I need my own media. I'm like, you know, I stuff isn't cheap. You know what I'm saying? I gotta like this way I can at least apply it to the Sherpa budget if I win. I mean, how else am I supposed to have all this stuff?
Play. You gotta put it in name.
All right. I'll come up. I got some. Maybe I got some. All right. But with that, all right, with that, Alvin, what do you got?
I'm going to go with a sell, and the name is ironsupply.com.
Ironsupply.com. I like that. And it's a sell. You know, I'm going to go 7,500. I'm going to stay with I had success at 7,500 last time. I think I'm low though, but go ahead. All right, Braden, you're up.
No, have Josh go next because I'm down, so I want the advantage.
I haven't got any points yet.
Yeah, neither of you guys have points.
I'm gonna go 4,000.
4,000. All right, that's a good delta. Still in business. All right.
I'll take the under.
All right, you're gonna go 39.99. Alvin. Oh, man.
$7,775.
Woo! What's up now? I am undefeated since this show has been taped. Undefeated.
It's a good sale.
Yeah.
That is a good sale.
It was one of, and it actually, Braden, it reminds me of that conversation you just had moments before this about the spread of purchased that name back in 2013 for $230.
Oh, wow.
So held it 8 years, all total cost somewhere just north of $300. So not bad.
No, that's exactly to the point that we made. I mean, and that's, you know, that is what I think a lot of folks, I mean, in 2013, that's a long time to hold on to a domain, you know? So would you get offers in the meantime? Like what was the highest offer you think you got in between then and now?
like 2000. And it was actually a Dan Lander, and the person, they put in a bid at $5,888. I looked up the name, and it was something ironsupply.com.
Okay.
So I knew then, I was like, well, this is the person.
Yeah, this is the name they've got.
So I just threw back 8,500. They're like, hey, that's too much. Why don't we split the difference at 72? And so I just said 7,775, and
I was very, very close with my guess too. I mean, that was pretty skillful, if I don't say so myself. So, so while that was a great sale on your part, it was an even better guess on my part. You know what I mean? So let's give credit where credit is actually due. And
that was a good guess.
In fact, I'll even take some credit for your sale. I don't know. But
so JT actually bought it.
Yeah.
So that's how we knew.
Exactly. I'm like, all right, cool. So, and then that gets me off the hook for having to put a name out there that I don't have. I'd be digging into like my archives, I think, at that point. So, although I could, I could throw out company names, but you know what? Let's just leave it at this, because the domain game. I think this is a good result. You know what I mean? And this is so it's as good a time as any to slide off it. But I think that this was also, real quick before we jump to commercial and then go into the next segment, Josh, I don't know that we talked enough about the justification around Hunt.io. We kind of moved pretty quick to Alvin. So buying that name and I know that you buy a lot of .ios kind of in the premium, and the premiums are very much in line kind of with what it was. What's your plan? So you've got it listed. Is it listed with a buy it now? I mean, are you looking at like specific? And this is just more to get into your thought process a little bit, just for the benefit of the audience. So you buy a name like that, that's obviously, especially in like what we see in the crypto space, the NFT space, the digital space, .ios are very popular. Hunt, there's a ton of different sort of applications, and it could be really cool. Game, coin, all sorts of, whatever. It could be somebody's last name, So, what'd you say?
Search e-commerce.
Oh, search. I like that. I like that better than all. See, that's why Braden sells names for $400,000, man, because he got it like that. I'm like,
how about e-commerce?
Yeah.
E-commerce works good. Like hunting.
Or, you get some of these super rich crypto millionaires. They might want to buy an island and do like a Running Man style game where they hunt people.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
Let's pivot now.
The Purge. The Purge. You know what I'm saying?
Hunt for homes.
Yeah.
Real estate related startup.
Yeah. Well, I like that.
Just the fact that it's a single
geo targeting.
Right. Yeah.
It's 4 letters. It's a single syllable. That's just the creme de la creme.
Yeah, it's a great.
Wasn't there like a hunter.io?
Yeah, that's email address hunting, I think.
Okay.
That's interesting.
Email address related stuff. Yeah.
So do you start pounding the pavement? Do you put it up with the lander? What's your process?
Yeah. So real quick, I did a little case study maybe like 5 years ago on some of the hottest keywords, and like all the derivatives of that word. So and hunt was actually one. I think it was like one of the best ones that I found. It was one of those where like hunting.com taken, hunter.com taken, hunters.com. And when I say taken, I mean like used by like a company, like a good size end user, hunts.com, and then like hunts.io, hunter.io. Like they were all not just like taken but not for sale and used by an end user. So it just, it was one of those keywords when I saw it, I was like, I got to buy it. And obviously the stats on it are really, really good. I mean, hundreds and hundreds, thousands of companies called Hunt or Hunt X or, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
So then, for me, a premium.io like that one, I treat those type of premium.ios now more like, you may have treated a good .com 2 or 3 years ago.
Sure.
As opposed, I don't really want to sell them at like a buy it now necessarily for those ones. I mean, there's a lot of oneword.ios that I'll price in like the 25 to 50K range, but not ones that are where the SLD is that good. So the ones where the SLD is that good now, for me, put up a contact page and see what comes through, because I think that those type of names, and like other examples I have are names like clever.io. I mean, like really good SLDs. Those are the names where I think that you can get more from actually figuring out who you're talking with and having a proper kind of negotiation. What I mean by that is, it might be a scenario where you can structure, a deal that's a lease to own. Maybe there's a way that you could get some equity from a startup, and because if a startup comes and wants a name like that, most of the time they're not going to have a massive budget, so you can often find ways to get creative. So yeah, for me, I put up a contact page on a lot of these premium.ios now. Don't put any kind of buy it now price, and just see what comes through. And part of the reason why is because I don't feel like I don't particularly care if I sell them or not, because the wholesale value is so strong and continues to be strong. So with that in mind, I'm happy to hold them.
That's great. Yeah, no, and then I think it's I love that name, and I like Clever a lot. I think I got outbid on Clever back on NameJet, maybe when you originally bought it. But I'm
seeing the same thing in the IO market, and I've recently, for the last year and a half or so, gotten more involved in the IOs and the COs. I just turned down 30,000 for Raven.io, and I think it was a Chinese investor. I think it was an investor, because I couldn't figure out who they are, but there was just something about the way they were negotiating with me.
Yeah.
But they went up to 30 grand, which is a reasonable number, but I just think there's more room left in that.
There's more meat on that bone.
More meat
on that Raven wing. But all right, cool. Well, I dig it. All good stuff. So yeah, so those are all success stories in their own right. Excited to see what happens with Hunt.io. Braden, obviously, with that killer worldclass.com, and Alvin, Iron Supply. I think that was also a home run. So cool. And you held on to it. You turned down offers that buying a name for $250, turning down 10x, man. I mean, only in like the domain space, you're like 10x. I'm going back to bed, like, let me know when you want to talk, when you want to give me a real offer. And so all good and great stuff. So with that, let's jump to, we're going to go to commercial, and then we come back. We'll be here on Domain Sherpa, where all roads lead to domains. Get money.
Media Options is the industry's leading domain broker specializing in domain acquisitions, high-value domain sales, and domain name consultation. As pioneers and thought leaders on the subject of the domain aftermarket and domain name value, plus through their clear domain acquisition service, Media Options offers startups and established corporations an unparalleled scope of high-value domain options, providing access to domain names and curation technologies not available elsewhere. Media Options believes in the power of a great domain name and is dedicated to helping you obtain yours. Call or email today to put a domain to work for you.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Domain Sherpa, where all roads lead to domains. This is segment 3, actually, which is NameJet Gonna Jet, sponsored by the good folks at NameJet. We review a list of domains coming up for auction. So with that, we've got a pretty big list today. I like the list a lot. We've been running shows pretty often, and sometimes that could lead to, so I'm just going to pull the list up here. Sometimes that can lead to some challenges as far as quality, depending on the flow of inventory. But the list of names that we've got this week is pretty wild. So, and there's actually 15 of them. And as usual, go to DomainSherpa.com. You'll find the list in an Excel sheet with the Esteban appraisal, how many back orders as of the time we tape, how many days left as of the time that we air, and check it out. So that way, okay, along with some other data that could be helpful. So this way you can find all that information in one spot. Click the links. You can also do that through the NameJet site, right, or from the Domain Sherpa site, right to the NameJet site. Throw your back orders in. These are all expiring domains, which means they are going to be private auctions, which if you want to participate, you've got to have a back order in by the end of the pre-release period. So if you don't have a back order in, you're not going to be able to bid on the names. So with that, definitely get after it. And we're going to talk about names that we like and names that we don't. And with that, let's see who I've got going first. I think, Josh, I've got you first on the list as to give us your thoughts. What do you think? What do you like? What do you don't like? What's up?
The main one that I liked that stood out to me, I really liked stevo.com. That was on there, right?
Stevo. Yeah.
Yeah. So I liked stevo.com because I just feel like that, like that's the kind of name that someone would want to buy just because they're called Stevo. It's like if my name was Steve and I went by Stevo, I would love to own stevo.com, just like an email address or something like that. So someone is, and I guarantee there's someone called Steve that bids in these auctions who goes by Stevo. I mean, someone's going to want that name.
Yeah.
And then from a brand perspective, you can brand off first names or names like brandable versions of names as well, like that. I feel like that's a decent name. The numeric, the 357.org. Numerics are so dead for me. I own some numerics from like the Chinese days, and I wish I didn't have them. I mean, I really wish. That's a good.
That's an interesting point because obviously all of those of us who were in this space through the big, China wave, if you will, that happened back in, what was that, like 15, 16. Which was the introduction of really more of a globalization of domaining, brought in a lot of Chinese investors, and, brought in a lot of money into the domain space. And, was really this big sort of wave involving short and numeric domain names. So, and I mean, actually to this day, 5-character numerics are still selling regularly on NameJet. And, a lot of it being driven by Chinese buyers because of the use of numbers in their, in how they sort of operate and brand and things like that. Which, so this one I thought was interesting. It's 357.org. It was 3-character numeric.org. Just kind of jumped out on the list. But so numerics are, so for Braden and Alvin, were you guys ever, Alvin, I don't know that you much were involved in some of that, like, the liquid stuff. You've always, to me, have been more in the kind of the brandable, and descriptive keyword kind of stuff. But I mean, what do you think? You see the same thing Josh sees? Was that really kind of not your thing? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I've let all mine loose. And for those very reasons, those same reasons, I've let them go. It seems to be that, at least for me, there was no rhyme, no reason for what was going on. Obviously, if you could get in, flip them quick, then all was good. But it's once I held on to those things for like 3 years, it was time to cut bait and let them loose.
Yeah. And what about you, Braden? Is that ever your thing?
I had some, actually. It was pre-Chinese names. I had some 5-number.coms that were both. Well, all 5-number.coms are zip codes.
Yeah. So you're like, did you have like a what's Beverly Hills 902?
No. But it was, mine were both zip codes and penal codes, because I was using it for legal stuff.
Yep.
And I still have some of those, and I've gotten offers. Some I've sold. And those were all hand registers way back in the day. So I did well on those. And I own a 4-number, and I think I have it priced at like 50 grand, and I've gotten offers as high as 40, I think. But those are investors. So I've gotten dozens and dozens of offers on that. So
sure.
I just haven't let it go yet. And then I got a numeric.org. I've got 8, the number 8.org.
No way.
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome.
That one's a different league.
Yeah.
That one's not even a numeric at that point. That's a brand.
Yeah,
that's definitely a brand.
That's
right?
wild.
And I think the highest offer I got was like 150 on that one, but I haven't let it go.
Huh. All right. Well, that's cool. So, well, I think that's
Josh, I think you're right. That's a different kind of category.
Right.
Yeah.
Different league.
Well, in 357, like 357 Magnum, but not necessarily something I think that would naturally flow into a .org, like with this particular number in a .org, it doesn't really mix great unless it was like, hey, we're like a pro-gun organization or something. Go with 357.org, and even then that might even be some kind of trademark infringement, on the Magnum brand. But or Smith Smith and Wesson.
I mean, even the numeric.coms have taken a massive hit over the last 5 years. So when you go into like net and org, gets real dicey, even in the 3-number and 4 numbers.
All right, so that would be an avoid. That would be an avoid on your list. All right, what else do you?
That would be an avoid. Energybars.com is an avoid just because I know Amar's going to buy it.
That's definitely a Mars name. I mean, let's just tell everybody, don't bother bidding on it because it's going to outbid you.
Yeah, that's. I mean, Amar's winning that name. Like he will put everything he has into that name if he has to.
And for those listeners who don't know, so Amar owns proteinbars.com, and it's being built out into a massive protein bar site. Right. So like, this is definitely his name.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what I was going to say.
It goes perfectly. It goes perfectly with proteinbars.com.
Yeah.
So.
And that's exactly what I was going to say, is that's Amar's name, and that's a development. That is an example of a development domain.
Yeah. Yep. Agreed.
There's one more name that I'll say something about, and then I'll leave the rest for everyone else. Sycamore.com makes me sycamore. It's just like
it makes me think strange.
So that it was expiring the same time last year.
Okay.
And Chevron were alerted to it and renewed it for a year, and now they forgot about it again. But the old IT guy that was in charge of the domain for years prior to the acquisition, which Chevron acquired, Sycamore, whatever they're called, he reached out to me like a month ago, and he was like, "Hey man, like I think they're gonna let it expire again. You should try and reach out to them and see if you can get them." I was like, "Dude, they don't like respond to me. Like I can't. Can you help me?" And he's like, "No, I think it would be a conflict of interest." I was like, "Well, dude, I can't do anything then. Like, I can't get it. It's just gonna go. It's just gonna go to the expiration stream again, and people are gonna try their hardest to reach out to Chevron and get the name. And when they're unsuccessful, it's gonna go to auction. It's gonna go for $150,000.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I think that's I mean, look, it's a fantastic name, and I think that's also an interesting point. Is that does happen on NameJet. It's that, folks will, you've got people that will, let names go that they don't mean to. Not all names that will be on this list will make it all the way to auction. I can tell you, as having run the platform, I mean, people will wait and sometimes till the last minute, intentionally or not, to renew a name. And if they do, the names disappear from the list. So for folks who, aren't familiar or wonder why that happens, that's one of the reasons. So, and in this case, this name has a little bit of hair on it in that way, but it's great. Fantastic name if it goes. So,
I mean, it's I guarantee it doesn't sell for less than $120,000 at auction.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's an interesting, like I said, I think that's a good, some good insight into that particular domain. So, all right, cool. Well, let's see. So next, Braden, I've got you up next on the list for your thoughts on the names.
Well, when I look at the list, I only see Sycamore, and then there's a bunch of just blurry shit around it. Yeah, so I hope it makes it all the way through the expiry stream and into my account, because I'm going after that name again. All right, I won't dwell on that too much. But look, it's a great list. I have bids on half of these names. Terrace.com is a good name. It can be used for gaming and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Steve-O, patent law is not as good as everybody thinks it is. The stats look good. They're not. Take it from someone who has sold thousands of legal names. It is a tough sell. There are a lot of versions of that name, like patents, patent law, patentlaws.com. Patent laws is just as same value. Patent lawyers, patent attorney, patent attorneys, patent law firm. I mean, there's just so many variations.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Patent and trademark.com. Like it just goes on and on. Yeah. I have a lot of patent related names. I don't know if I've ever sold one. Maybe a couple small names.
Yeah.
The stats look good, but it is not as good as you think. And lawyer names are tough to sell.
And I think that's a good point, and I can concur.
Idiotic, good name. Those names I think always have value. Expression.org I think is a decent name. Dr. Do I think is a nice little brandable. Drafts can be.
All right, well let's leave some meat. Let's leave some meat on the bone for Alvin, man. You're gonna just run through the entire list, giving us one sentence of each. Like this, yeah.
That's
I'm just gonna do thumbs up, thumbs down, and sideways. No, I'm just kidding. All right, but with that, Alvin, what do you think, man? What do you got? Any?
I'll tell you what Alvin's gonna. He's gonna buy antennashop.com. He's gonna go sell it for like 8 G's in a few years.
So antennashop.com. It makes me think like I sit and I put my development hat on and say, okay, hey, could I actually develop this domain, put content around it, and begin to attempt to make affiliate income around that? It is possible, but it's not for the faint of heart. I had the same thing with energybars.com, but we all know who that's going to. So you can skip that one. Steve-O makes me think of Stevia or what is this?
Stevia, yeah.
Stevia, yeah. So that I don't know what happened there, but when I first saw it, it made me literally think about the that brand of what it's not sugar, but
it's like it all. Yeah, it's like it's Braden. You guys use that? Is that part of your Benjamin Button diet routine, like to keep you for your reverse aging regimen? Is that part of it? I mean,
you done?
Yeah, I'm good. I just you look fantastic, man. That's what I'm saying. You look great. That's all. Just
not bad for 70, right? Stevia, I think it's a sugar substitute. I think it's made from monk fruit, if I'm not mistaken. I run over my kids and grab some.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying, man. So, all right, keep going, Alvin. What else, man? Yeah, I think it's cool.
Sycamore. I just thought about the tree. And it made me think of Shane. So I was like, okay, is this one of those names that Shane is likely going to go after?
Yeah.
Don't know. But in terms of, I guess, what folks should stay away from, obviously, the if you're a new investor, 357, in my opinion, the Cataclysm, that is, I definitely say for new investors, stay, away from that. Patent Law, and then terrorist.com. Because I think you have to, there's a level of experience that just comes with dealing with those sorts of names.
Yeah, the stuff with the negative connotation, I think, can be a challenge, right? It's,
Correct.
What is I forget what we were selling something on NameJet. It wasn't, maybe it was terrorism or something. We were selling something back, and I remember we had, so Scott Pruitt, who was doing the marketing, he, posted an image that was like of, I forget what it was, but it was something that people took offense to, and it was like a picture of like a bombing or something. And maybe that wasn't what it was, because that would have been a little too much. But when I saw it, I felt the same way. It was like I could see how people were like kind of upset and offended by it. And it's like if you can't even market it a certain way, it's like then selling it, it's like it limits you a bit too. Where you're like as to what it could. Although I think terrorist is probably a little bit is better than terrorism, but.
Sure.
Those are ones I think that are kind of, I think that's a really good point too. It's like, you've got to be careful around stuff that could have that negative slant, because, that could just create more challenges as far as who you can actually sell it to. So, and I think it's the same thing we say on the show all the time. I mean, it depends on what you can get these names for, as to whether or not it's a good buy in the first place. So, but one thing I think is kind of interesting for the domain folks out there is you got namestart.com here on the list. Yep. Namestart, which I think for anybody who potentially, is wants to build a site around their portfolio or something like that, or that'd be a great registrar name, Namestart, with the idea that, everything starts with a domain name, your web presence starts with the domain. Your website starts with a domain. So Namestart, I think, is actually
even a branding agency.
Yeah. Names. Yep. I like that too. Namestart, the idea that, kicking off your branding. Absolutely right. So
I thought it was Namestart.
Namestart.
Now you will not be able to unsee that or hear that from here on out.
Well, it's like that Dr. Do, drdo.com and
exactly.
Dr. Do.
I will say this: that expression.org can be a dangerous one too for new investors. And I would say if I had a choice, I'd probably opt for express.org before expression.
Sure, 100%. 100%. I mean, that's just a better overall name, and no matter what the TLD is, and so I would agree. And what about drafts.com? You got beer, you got some kind of word, docs, processing, sports. Oh, that's good.
Drafts.com's a cool name. Yeah.
Fantasy football, fantasy sports, drafts.com. I like that a lot. You can kind of, so with a name like that, it's interesting. The appraisal only has it at $13,000. I feel like that name is worth more than that. and definitely at the end user level, but even at the wholesale level, I see that going for more on NameJet than 13 grand. So, so speaking of which, typically on the show too, we usually bring up some of the older sales and things that have happened in the past, couple of weeks. One sale that happened that I thought was notable was bestshop.com. You guys see this? Bestshop.com sold for $82,000.
Wow. It's a nice sale.
I mean, in the wholesale market, it's over 80K. And I don't know. Any idea why that ran up so much?
Was there link juice?
I don't know. That's what I'm asking you guys, the experts.
Let's look it up. And are you sure that was wholesale?
It was on NameJet. That's what I mean. I don't know if necessarily I don't know if it was two end users duking it out, but they were names of what looked like domainers from what I could tell, folks I'd seen before.
Yeah, there's no link. There's no link juice. Just craziness.
Just two guys fighting like stepbrothers in the front lawn. Just till one of them knocks the other in the head with a shovel, takes it home for 80,000.
The Chinese market uses shop a lot.
Yeah, that I even remember .shop is popular, because of that.
I could see that as a development project in the Asian market as opposed to out here.
That's fair.
In the West, because shop doesn't have the same kind of cachet that does there. Like VIP, like we say VIP, but it's not that meaningful outside of sports. But in China, VIP is a much bigger deal.
Yeah.
Top.
I don't even know about sports, right? Are you thinking MVP? VIP here is just, like you said, it's just another expression.
Sorry.
You know what I mean? So
VIP, I said sports. Yeah. Like
I know what you mean. MVP,
I wanted to say entertainment, like
clubs. Yeah, but agreed. And I think that's a good point. Same kind of thing. Shop and VIP, even those as extensions for domains were more popular in China. Granted, that's also where I think those programs kind of were launched around the time of that China wave and everything was happening. So, being out in Shanghai, and the .shop folks were like out there really pushing hard at the World Domain Conference or whatever we were doing out there. And, VIP, I know, had big Chinese registration number. .VIP had big Chinese registration numbers for a while as well. Those are all good points. So it's interesting. Again, it's a pretty high price tag. Some other ones, GoNet.com, we talked about on the show, that went for 8,000. So that was GONET, GoNet.com, which we thought was Braden. We might have even said that we thought you were going to buy that. Did you buy that one?
I did not buy it.
Oh yeah,
but
GoNet.
Was GoNet.
It was GoNet.
.com?
Yeah, GoNet.com. And then
that's a weird. Maybe it's a brandable GoNet.
Got it. Well, then STES. This was from a weak list, like 2 weeks ago. STES.com sold for about $4,000, and Yoshi.com sold for about $1,500, which I actually thought that was going to do better. But Yoshi, but it's the YOSHIE as opposed to just the I. But especially for Japanese buyers, Yoshi is like, it's a name, it's a nickname, and so. But yeah, so. With that, those are some of the ones that we had talked about recently, there's a few others that we talked about recently that are still about to come up for auction soon. So we'll be talking about those on the next show, and that's the list. So those are the NameJet domains. Definitely some good stuff there. I think. You think anything on this list sells like at a price that, like you said, Braden, you've got a lot of bids on these names. Anything you think is you think that is going to sell in the hundreds of dollars, possibly, that a domain investor without a big budget might, because that was the one thing when this list was, when I was putting it together, was like,
talk about it.
What's that?
Talk about it.
Yeah. No doubt. And then, so, all right, well, look, everybody check those out. Those will be available on the site, and the list on the site. Go to DomainSherpa, download the list, and click through, do your thing, and it's all good. So, and with that, we're going to jump to commercial. When we come back, we'll be on our final segment here on DomainSherpa, where all roads lead to domains.
FD was built by domain investors to increase your inquiries, sales, and profit. Forget spreadsheets and archived emails. Manage your entire investment portfolio in one place using a secure and completely confidential platform. Learn more at FT.com. That's EFTY. ft.com.
Welcome back, everybody, to Domain Sherpa, where all roads lead to domains. We're now on our final segment, which is grand closing, where we talk about anything that we haven't covered, giving the folks on the show an opportunity to promote anything that they want to promote or mention anything that we haven't already covered. So with that, and Alvin, since you haven't been on the show with me as host, I'm going to go to you first. Give you the chance to kind of promote anything that you might want to, like maybe the podcast with me and you. I don't know.
Of course. So
I don't know what you might want to promote. You know what I mean?
As the guy repping the Notorious B.I.G. in the background, he and I had a great conversation. So be on the lookout for that. He was spitting bars, working at bars, passing the bars. So he was just setting the bar all throughout the show. So that's all I'm going to give you right there on that. So be looking for it. And like I said, go to kickstart.fm or kickstartcommerce.com. And Drew, let's work a deal with kickstart.com.
Oh, yeah.
Alvin, you had your chance, man. It was on the market.
Hey, it's always second chances, Braden.
There's,
second chances.
Yeah, we'll see what's up. You know what I mean? We can have a conversation and talk
JT,
about
get that man a hoodie. Tell him what's up.
So yeah, well, no, Alvin's got his hoodie.
Yeah, so I got a hoodie. I told him, he sent it months late. I needed it during the winter storm.
I know. It's well, and I got Josh has his, and I literally handed it to him outside, by the tennis courts here in the neighborhood. In like 100-degree weather. He definitely was not rushing to throw that on, but it's all good. So, all right, cool. Well, yeah, absolutely. And I talked about it at the intro, but everybody check out kickstartcommerce.com. Alvin's podcast is fantastic. He is one of the best and, unique and influential voices in the space. And not just domains, but also pushing into, just kind of e-com and, some of those other areas as well. So I think in branding, and I think that's, so people definitely got to go and check it out if they haven't already been listening to your podcast, my dude. So that's what's up. All right. Braden, what about you, man? What do you got?
I just want Alvin to talk about his bat cam. He doesn't tell anybody about that, but that's the coolest thing he does.
You got the bat cam?
Yeah.
Like on the bridge?
BatsinAustin.com.
Wait. So that's bats in Austin. So BATSIN Austin.com. I'll put that on the site in the description. So, and this is the bats that fly out of that bridge, right? That
is correct.
We saw that the one night. So we were in Austin for a NameJet board meeting back in the day, and we were staying right across the river, I guess, from where that all goes down.
Right.
And so we came out on the bridge and saw them it was literally like the scene from Batman when Bruce falls in the cave, you know what I mean? And so you got a cam up? What's up? What is that?
Yeah, so I've had this site since 2012, and it's just an information and educational site to help people find out when the bats are likely going to fly. And so it's just something that I worked on, had no intentions of doing it, really just said, hey, can I get this site ranked? So working on my search marketing chops, and lo and behold, here we are some decade later, and now we have a cam, and it's an interesting deal that's worked out with thelinehotel.com. And so it's been an abnormal year because we've had a lot of rain, so the bats have not necessarily cooperated with us as much as we'd like.
Okay.
But we do have a cam that's in partnership with the Line Hotel. And we basically stream bats when they're out.
I not know this, man.
Right?
That's crazy, yo. So,
see what I mean? That's cool, isn't it?
That's awesome.
I found this out a while ago. Like last year, he and I were talking. I was like, "Wait, what? Run that by me again."
Yeah.
You're like, wait.
And there's also another one, batsinroundrock.com.
Oh, okay.
So.
All right. So, all right. Well,
what you have to do, Alvin, I'm going to give you a little advice here. You got to call up our friend Rich Schwartz. He owns batcam.com. You got to talk him out of that name. And then you can stream bats from wherever you set up cameras. You stream them all on batcam.com.
I got to change your AKAs, man. So Kevin Hart, I got to put in Bruce Wayne, man. You the Batman. You know what I'm saying?
Batman.
Now that I know, see, that's it. That's good. They evolve. The AKAs can evolve over time. That's awesome.
Wasn't
That's
that a lot
awesome.
more interesting than whatever it is that I was going to say?
I think that's a tough act to follow. Maybe what you should have done is say whatever you got to say and then say, oh, by the way, Alvin, you should talk about the bats. Because now it's kind of like, that's it, man. You know,
All
so.
right, I can share the spotlight with Alvin.
Womp, womp, womp.
All right. Well, all good. You got anything to talk about or promote? You got anything else going on?
A lot of people were talking about how, there's a little bit of a bubble because all the people were home and investing in alternative assets. And, when is that bubble going to burst? And it's not bursting.
Yeah.
The prices just keep going up.
Yeah.
I don't see them softening. I thought they were going to soften a bit, but so far,
I think it's going to be bigger macro things like, maybe if they stop printing money and stuff as much as they are and things like that, that I think will have a bigger impact. I think that to me, what I've seen, and, we've seen this across, multiple digital assets, you've got this like just so much happening, but a lot of what we've seen, just because people are now going back to the office and honestly, now they're going to be coming back home again soon, it seems like with this Delta variant. So it's like, we're going to be, kind of back where we were. But I think that the introduction of, remote working, remote shopping, remote living, those trends, it's not like, oh, those don't exist now just because people, I think now that those doors have been opened, it's like they've just kind of become the new normal, and so, yeah, but I think it'll be the bigger macro stuff that will lead to, maybe some liquid or something, being pulled out of certain markets that might have an impact and create more of a bear market. Because like you said, things are kind of bubbling everywhere and domains have always, domains are consistently doing their thing. There's not, back when we talked about the China wave back in 15, at that point, there was always this thought like, hey, this is going to stop or go away or whatever. Like, there was always kind of waiting for that to end. And it did, but not completely, right? Because we saw it even at NameJet. We were right there in the middle of a lot of that. And, our business benefited from that. We were able to bring a lot of inventory that people were interested in at the time and really just kind of with those trends. But even as that slowed down, we then saw sort of a shift back into keywords and kind of the more traditional domain investing. But the value and the money that was then in the space didn't fly out of there. It just then got allocated towards more of the traditional domains, as far as what really had value because people kind of, and, so and obviously there's certain ebbs and flows, but I think, again, the big picture didn't completely go away. It'll be interesting to see with some of this stuff now, what's happening, but it's funny. Domains have become sort of the steady Eddie, just like, okay, they've got utility. Everybody knows what domains do. They're not as sexy necessarily as some of this other stuff. Like, when you talk about the crypto, we saw it with the big crypto pushes and, now with NFTs going absolutely crazy, it's, domains are a bit old hat, but, I think at the same time, it's like they're more important than ever. And that isn't going to change. So because of that, you've got more and more companies coming on and people able to do new ventures and new things. And you got startup money and VC money. I don't know.
But see, the thing is that with the NFTs, and I'm not anti-NFT by any means. Crypto, there's a lot of these things that don't have quite as much utility and it's investing for the sake of investing, right? So you invest and hope that other investors are going to come in and spend more.
Yep.
Versus domains, yes, we are trading amongst ourselves, but then what happens is, they exit to a retail end user who's not investing, they're buying the name because they want to use it. And then it's off the market forever, right?
100%.
And that's where the money is.
Yeah.
So these are things that do end up getting sold off and used. So it's different in that respect.
Yeah, 100%.
We are looking for what Keith DeBoer says, may all your sales be to end users, right?
Yeah. Oh, I like that. That's great.
That's what we
Shout
hope
out to Keith,
like,
by the way. That's a great saying.
I get inquiries from investors all the time. I'm like,
that's going to be my new toast. You know what I mean? At like the holiday party,
all
your sales be to end users. I love it. What up, Keith? But yeah, so no, and I think that's a good point. And we said that. I mean, I've said I think domains are kind of the original NFT, except that there are obviously differences, but that they're these digital assets. But I've said it from the beginning. I mean, I think the fact that, and even comparing it to cryptocurrency, Bitcoin and everything else blowing up, it's like, but at the end of the day, Bitcoin is good as a store of value. It's only as good as the people have demand for it and want to use it for those purposes, and that there can be some additional utility around actually being able to use it for things, but nowhere near the utility of a great premium domain name. I mean, that's just, I mean, a great domain can be equal to millions of dollars in marketing spend, and can ultimately launch a business into outer space. I mean, it's without a doubt. So yeah, so which is why we're all still here doing what we do, man. That's why
isn't there, with a lot of asset classes, isn't there a disconnect between the investment value and the actual value, right? So when you've got a Google or a Tesla that stock that's trading for like 2,000 times earnings or whatever, I'm making that up.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a disconnect, right? Because that business would never sell for 100x or 2,000x, right?
Of course, yeah.
It doesn't.
Yeah, it's basically you're trading off
but
of almost
we're
like
still
that.
buying and selling that stock, right?
It's the subjective value on top of the on top of the objective value. We've got an episode of Domain Sherpa that we are releasing today, meaning the day that we're actually taping this show, and with Pedro Naranjo, who is a hedge fund manager based out in Lisbon. And we talk a lot about domains as an investment. The whole idea of the show is that, look, we have this thesis of domains as digital real estate, as investable assets. From an institutional investor standpoint, where are the gaps? What else, where do we need to fill those gaps to make domains more attractive from an investment standpoint, from a fund or an institutional perspective, And so we really got under the hood for that. And it basically turned into a Q&A with Pedro asking Andrew and I a bunch of questions around, tracking values and transparency in the space and things that we've always kind of said, domains need more of in order to be more of a consistent sort of attractive investment to folks that are on the outside looking in, that aren't in the space like we are. And one of the key points, I thought one of the key takeaways was exactly what you just said, which, was what Andrew brought up on the show. And it was that, you've got sort of, when you're valuing domain names, similar to how you value other things as well, as this idea, you've got this objective value, which is kind of like, you can, and for domains, it's based on traffic and, link juice and, some of those other things. But it's the idea that there's the speculative or subjective value is where the investment comes in, because if you're willing, you can sort of buy it and sell it at a certain price, but you believe that there's this additional value there that's going to come from, and, for stocks, it might be the performance of the company based on, whatever they're doing and products they're going to launch and markets they're going to enter. For crypto, it's further adoption or further utility, same kind of thing. NFTs, more people coming in and buying, more money, more collectors, or, in some cases it's the drops and the other utility that some of these NFTs provide. So, I think that's a fantastic point. And I think you're absolutely right. And it's kind of a commonality across all investments that you do. That's, why a lot of us get in thinking that there is more value to be had. And domains have the unique piece of that end user at the end of the tunnel that, if you can, and that's why one thing that we do, and I think we do it well, and I think a lot of the folks that are in the same position, like, when I say we, I mean like Media Options, and, when we are buying domains, I mean, we're not just saying, oh, we think this name is cool, right? I mean, it's to all the research that we do, exactly to what Josh was saying before about when he was Hunt.io and the case study that he did around keywords and how many companies are using different variants of the domain. What are their next best alternative, and how much is, like, what's out there that would be an alternative, which is to the point you made about patent law and why that domain isn't as great as it looks on its face, because there are a number of other alternatives that are probably just as good, but less expensive. So, and I think it all ties together, man. All roads lead to domains. All roads lead to domains. So, and may all your sales be to end users. I love it. So, all right, cool. So with that, Josh, you got anything else that you want to throw out here, man, as we're kind of coming up on time to hit this hour and a half mark?
No, man, nothing too crazy. Just doing my thing, waiting for the domain prices to go back down, and then I'll be ready.
We'll be buying.
He's like pickleball until then.
Yeah,
I'll be ready. Yeah, I'm just waiting, just waiting for .com to slow down.
So here's a quick question before we shut it down. Do we think that the increase in prices at the registry level are going to create any kind of ripple effects from a domain investing standpoint? It might not matter to an end user if your domain goes up from, $15 renewal to a $18 renewal. But, you've got some folks with enormous portfolios and other people whose businesses are really, kind of based on trying to scrape those margins. And, and as those get smaller, that gets more challenging. Any thoughts around that?
I don't think the margin is being hurt enough for it to make a difference yet. So I think the big ordeal with like .com prices rising is that, you know, it's okay, this initial rise for investors, even investors with really big portfolios, because their spread is so big. But it's the precedent of raising prices, you know, because if they continue to rise, then it starts to become an issue. But as of now, with the prices as you know, the prices with what they are, it's not going to make a big difference to the big portfolio holders. They're making some good returns.
They're doing okay.
Yeah.
Look, the fact is, with all these G's and the .cos and the IOs and, you know, AI, like, we're all investing in these alternative extensions, and they're all more expensive than the .com. .nets and .orgs are more expensive, right? So, you know, if it moves a little bit, it's not going to really move the needle, because we're not talking about, oh man, .net's just way too expensive, so, you know, we're not investing. Like, no one is saying they're not investing in .net because it's too expensive, right? And it's more expensive.
Yeah,
no one's
100%.
saying that about IO. No one's saying that about .co. No one's saying that about .club. You name it.
Yeah.
They're all more expensive, right? I mean, for the most part, .com is just about the cheapest. I mean, with a few rare exceptions that nobody cares about. So a little bit of movement is not going to affect much. And if it does affect somebody that's not making a lot of money because they have a terrible portfolio, right? Then what's going to happen is it'll wash those people out, and the decent names will get gobbled up by somebody else who can afford an extra, you know, few cents a year.
Okay.
So
that's a fair point.
I think the big picture is it's not that much.
I agree, Braden, especially that last part. I guess you'd say it's the lower end of the spectrum of folks that aren't consistently making sales that will be basically washed out of the industry, and to a certain extent in the best sentiment of that, you know, because some of it is, hey, you just have a bad portfolio, and if this is the thing that makes you start over in terms of getting a better portfolio, getting to consistent sales, then great. But outside of that, I mean, I don't think that it impacts those who are consistently selling. You know, I mean, it's like a gnat, you know, you swat it and you keep doing what you're doing.
No doubt, but not like a bat. And speaking of bats, get to batsinaustin.com and check it out. Hopefully the rain will settle down and we'll get to see some good footage. But like I said, I'm going to throw the link up on the site in the description, and I'm going to check that out myself. So, all right. Well, with that, I want to thank you guys. I really, really appreciate you taking the time. This was a great show. As usual, when we have you all on here, I want to say thank you to the audience. As I say on every show, that without y'all, there's no us. It's like looking in a mirror to mirror. But, you know, without y'all, there's no us. I appreciate y'all. Please hit us up. Comments, good, bad, ugly. Let us know. You got questions, you got comments, what you like, what you don't like. And hopefully at the end of the day, you're getting some value here, because these are really, really successful, intelligent guys who are taking their time to share some of the tips and tricks with y'all. And I know I appreciate it. So with that, thanks everybody. And we'll see you again next time on Domain Sherpa, where all roads lead to domains.